Apocalypse. Chapter 12. The Holy Scriptures give interesting revelations to people who want to understand spiritual truths and know our near future. God reveals some secrets. Of course, not everything is clear. But we can still draw the general outlines of events for ourselves. I want to analyze some fragments of the 12th chapter of the book of the Apocalypse, that is, Revelations. The chapter is not easy, but it explains a lot about the general plan of what is happening on our planet. Firstly, the events described there have a somewhat definite form, that is, they are not considered in the chronology of events, but as if from above, in a general plan, highlighting the main thing that is happening on our Earth. I'll read the whole chapter first, it's not big. And a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed in the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was in the womb, and screamed from the pain and agony of birth. And another sign appeared in heaven, behold, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his head 7 diadems. His tail drew a third of the stars out of the sky and threw them to the ground. This dragon stood in front of the woman who was to give birth, so that when she gave birth, he would devour her baby. And she bore a male child, who was to shepherd all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God and his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where a place was prepared for her from God, that they might feed her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought against them. But they could not resist, and there was no longer a place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was cast down, the ancient serpent called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole universe, was cast down to earth, and his angels were cast down with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ, because the slanderer of our brethren has been cast down, who slandered them before our God day and night. They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and did not love their soul even to death. Therefore, rejoice, the heavens and those who dwell in them. Woe to those who live on earth and at sea. Because the devil came down to you in a great rage, knowing that he had little time left. But when the dragon saw that he had been cast down to earth, he began to persecute the wife who had given birth to a male child. And 2 wings of a great eagle were given to the woman, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place from the face of the serpent, and there feed for a time, and for a time, and for half a time. And the serpent sent water out of his mouth after his wife like a river, in order to carry her away with the river. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth, and swallowed up the river, which the dragon let out of its mouth. And the dragon was angry with the woman, and went to fight with the rest of her seed, who keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Revelation 12:1-17. A wife clothed in the sun, a baby, a red dragon. War in heaven, praise for the overthrow of Satan. The dragon's pursuit of his wife. And the power of personal spiritual victory. Very briefly, I give a personal understanding of the events described in this chapter. Some may agree with the interpretations, some may not. Nevertheless, this is my personal vision. What is open, I propose for consideration. Only what is open. A woman clothed in the sun, the moon is under her feet, and on her head is a crown of 12 stars. First of all, the woman clothed in the sun is God's people, chosen by God himself. The crown of 12 stars is the 12 tribes of this people. I understand Israel. She was in the womb, and screamed from the pain and agony of birth. God, through these people, saw a plan for the salvation of the human race, through the appearance of the Messiah into our world, that is, Christ, the Savior of all the redeemed. Why did she scream from the pain and the pain of birth? Yes, because the appearance of the Messiah was associated with a difficult and painful historical period of Christ's coming to earth. That's why the serpent actually chased his wife. Temptations and persecutions. The Israelites often fell away and served other gods. They violated the law of God. From the 12 tribes, by the coming of Christ, only one with 2 halves remained faithful. The tribe of Judah, in full, is the generation of Benjamin, and half the tribe of Levi. But somehow they fulfilled their mission. Christ was born. And the salvation of the world has come. And she bore a male child, who was to shepherd all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God and his throne. It also describes the rapture of Christ to heaven to the throne of God's grace, bypassing other events that are taking place and have occurred on our planet. The actual scripture in prophecies often gives an overall picture, rather than a temporal sequence of events, which makes it somewhat difficult for people who study the prophecies of the Holy Scriptures. With God, everything is different, nevertheless, we can figure it out. Further. 3 And another sign appeared in heaven, behold, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads 7 diadems. For his tail drew 1/3 of the stars out of the sky and threw them to the ground. This dragon stood before the woman who was to give birth, so that when she gave birth, he would devour her baby. The dragon is the devil, as further confirmation of this comes. Because the devil came down to you in a great rage, knowing that he had little time left. When the dragon saw that he had been cast down to earth. Why the red dragon? I think red is the color of blood, saying that the actions of a dragon are always associated with bloodshed and great sacrifices. Wars, terrorist attacks, human sacrifices. Recall at least the Red Terror in Russia from the 18th to the 23rd years of the last century, or say the Red Khmers in Kampuchea. And even in our time, for the sake of power, fame or big money, sacrifices to Satan, with the shedding of blood, do not stop. Only, sometimes, they have a slightly different shape. A large red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 diadems on its heads. 7 heads, 10 horns and 7 tiaras. 7 heads correspond to 7 horns. The prophet Daniel has an explanation for this. About the horns. And the 10 horns mean that 10 kings will rise up from this kingdom, and after them another one will rise up, different from the former ones, and humiliate the 3 kings. And he will speak words against the Most High and oppress the saints of the Most High. He will even dream of abolishing the feast days and the law from them, and they will be delivered into his hand until the time and times and half-time. Daniel 7:24-25. Of the 10 kingdoms, that is, Kaalisha, 3 will disappear from 10 countries, and 1 horn will grow in their place, in other words, the last Antichrist. And he was given full power on earth for a time, times and half a time. I looked at these horns, and behold, another small horn came out between them, and 3 of the former horns were uprooted in front of it, and behold, in this horn there were eyes like human eyes, and lips that spoke arrogantly. Daniel 7:8. Both Daniel and Revelation describe that the devil and his angels will be defeated. 9 And the great dragon was cast down, the ancient serpent called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole universe, was cast down to the earth, and his angels were cast down with him. The Antichrist, in the form of a horn, will be killed. Then I saw that because of the utterance of the arrogant words that the horn spoke, the beast was killed in my eyes, and his body was crushed and given to be burned with fire. And their power was taken away from the other beasts, and the continuation of life was given to them only for a time and for a period. I saw in my night visions, behold, the Son of Man walked with the clouds of heaven, came to the Ancient of Days, and was brought to him. And to him has been given power, glory, and a kingdom, that all nations, tribes, and languages may serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom will not be destroyed. Daniel 7:11-14. Interestingly, it is written in Revelation that Satan and his demons have been cast down to earth. And woe to those who live on earth. His tail drew a third of the stars from the sky and threw them to the earth, and woe to those who live on earth and at sea. Because the devil came down to you in a great rage, knowing that he had little time left. And so, sometimes, people have contacts with these unclean spirits. Here, on this earth. All sorts of barabashki, goblins, brownies, or sometimes they appear in the form of aliens to seduce the simple-minded and lead many away from the true living God and from serving Him. And those who do not have full protection from God, those people sometimes encounter these spirits. Such meetings often end tragically. 7 diadems. What's it? The diadem is from the Greek word meaning to bind. The diadem is a small kokoshnik made of metals and decorated with precious stones, a sign of royal power in the East, which served as an ornament of sovereigns, a head ornament in the form of a crown. Usually made of precious metals and stones. Wikipedia. The diadem is a symbol of power, something that, for a short time, Satan will receive in the person of the Antichrist on earth. 7, by the number of states. But here we go. 6 And the woman fled into the wilderness, where a place was prepared for her from God, that they might feed her there 1,260 days. That is, about 3.5 years. This is what the Bible warns about the time of the Great Tribulation on earth. 3.5 years. 3.5 years, seduction by the Antichrist's power, and 3.5 years, Great Tribulation. A place in the desert. Where is it? I think this is Israel itself. Where it is located is a real desert. At least it was. That's where this place is. After all, on the basis of the prophecies of the Holy Scriptures, the Jews will have to gather by the very last time. Behold, I will send a multitude of fishermen, saith the Lord, and they will catch them, and then I will send a multitude of hunters, and they will chase them from every mountain, and from every hill, and from the ravines of the rocks. Jeremiah 16:16. And the wife ran away to the desert, where a place was prepared for her from God. But, here, next. 13 And when the dragon saw that he had been cast down to the earth, he began to persecute the wife who had given birth to a male child. The spirit of anti-Semitism. By and large, Jews are disliked in the pagan world. And how many times have these people suffered all kinds of persecution bordering on genocide? Satan has persecuted and is persecuting the wife, that is, the people of God. But the one who came out through his wife and his subsequent seed, that is, followers, is more interested. 17 And the dragon was angry with the woman, and went to make war with the rest of her seed, who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. With the rest of her seed, who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Here we are talking specifically about the persecution of Christians. And a very vivid fragment of this chapter, I would say the main one and very important for all followers of Jesus Christ, those who will actually be persecuted, fighting with others from her seed. 11 They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and did not love their soul even to death. The power and weapons of Christians, the blood of the Lamb, the word of testimony, and they did not love their souls even to death. 3 components. The time of the last time has already gone. Victory is only in God. The blood of Jesus Christ, the word of testimony, and they did not love their souls even to death. The 12th chapter of the book of Revelation, or the Apocalypse, in Greek, gives a general, somewhat voluminous description of the events taking place on our earth and gives an understanding of our near future. Whoever wants to know, God reveals to him. Not everything, of course, but only the basic and necessary. Be blessed.